You want to know why it's pure hell? It doesn't matter where you live. It's like if you don't have a purpose, your like thoughts start to get a little dark.
And I remember you sitting in your Ferrari with me in the driveway, and you're like crying, and you're like, I have no purpose. Well, my friends, welcome back to the Date Your Wife Podcast 2026. We took a break.
We took a break
for about 5 months.
Yeah, why do we do that?
Lots of things going on. The launch of your book, God is Your Ghostwriter. Moving to a new location.
New team members.
Transition and pretty much the whole team over the past 9 months. That was at Wake Up Warrior to a brand new team now here in Miami.
It's like you move and you think you're just going to get everything set up in like a couple months. But we lived in California for like over a decade, and it was like there was just a lot of transitional pieces, getting our businesses, our family, school set up, like while still continuing to run normal day-to-day life. That it literally took, if even though we've been here for over a year, it feels like we're just finally getting started in Florida.
Yeah, so we got here in November of 2024.
Yeah.
It's now May of 2026.
And it still feels like we just moved here.
I know.
Probably because we did move twice in 1 year.
So we're in the house. We were in the house.
Actually, not in 1 year.
In for the first year, 2025, and now we moved into a condo.
We did.
Into a luxury condo. Tell them about the condo life.
When we first moved to Miami, Elena is our realtor, and she was like, you guys want to look at some of the condos? And I'm like, why would we live in a condo? I mean, we lived in a 12,000 square foot home, and I didn't know condo life, you know? And it's funny because when we first moved here, when we would tell people at least in our area, when we tell people we live in a house, they're like, oh, you live in a house? It's just like condo life is pretty normal here. So we didn't even really entertain looking at condos. And then we lived in a home that looked really nice. Turns out it had mold, and it was kind of it was shitty. It was kind of shitty. It was like my kids were sick all the time. I was sick all the time. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Shit in the house kept breaking. I was like, we have got to get out of here. So we weren't planning on moving. The home that we were in, we were kind of like, we were renting to kind of test the area and see if we like it. And we really liked the area. We're in between kind of like Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and in a place called Golden Beach. And it's I feel like it's like city vibe, but it's not too like city vibe, but it's not like too suburban. It feels like a good place for us to land. And anyways, so we unexpectedly, we were like, we have got to get out of this lease. We've got to get out of this shitty house. And we ended up entertaining the idea of condos, and I was like, wow, condos are another level here. Like there's some condos that are like 10,000 square feet here. Like it's nuts. Like it's not even a condo, it's like a penthouse. So then I think there's really not a lot of new builds or homes here available. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, I mean, you'll have like tear downs and redos, but anyway, we started looking at condos and settled. We actually purchased Grant and Elena's condo. And which we wouldn't have been able to do when we first moved down here because my oldest daughter still lived with us, and then she ended up moving out on her own. So then we were like, okay, now we only have 3 kids at home, so we could entertain the condo life. But I don't know, I like it. I don't know if it's like a long-term thing for me. But I'm like, I could be here for like 4 or 5 years.
We broke every rule of the condominium HOA in the first 2 months we were there. I mean, the first weekend you're thinking, okay, you're moving to a condo. You know what we should do to let everybody in the condo know that we're here? Let's invite more people than we're allowed based upon the parameters of the HOA, which we didn't know because we didn't read. And we had like 12 people over at the condo. You can only have 7 yourselves plus guests total 8, which is wild because we have like 6, 7 people in the family. If we just have just our kids.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
One person can come. So we didn't know. So we had like 12, 13 people over. We also didn't know you probably shouldn't do jujitsu in the pool. So Keith and I were doing jujitsu, and he was putting me in a guillotine and then drowning me in the pool.
Well,
and we were messing around for 45 minutes.
It's also because we have a lot of like seniors in the...
This is the bigger issue. We have a lot of very rich Jewish families that live there that are older.
Yeah.
We did not anticipate the seasonal, wealthy, older people over 75.
Well, and our kids are wild. Like our toddlers, they're pretty wild. But like not I don't think they're just being kids, you know what I mean? But I think in a way it's been good because there's a point where I'm like our kids like they need to learn boundaries, respect, like you know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's been at first I was like, "Screw you guys. We can do whatever we want." And then I was like, "No, my kids don't need to be running around like little shitheads throwing crap at each other all the time, you know?"
They've actually
mellowed
calmed
out.
down and
Yeah.
mellowed out and
Yeah.
gotten a little more disciplined. Well, I think it's partially because of condo life because one of our teenagers got banned from the second floor for doing stuff, and then we had several incidents that all happened within the first couple of months. I was sitting with the HOA board. There was threats, there was fines, there was things,
Yeah,
and we're like, okay.
that's the only thing I don't like about condo life is like you're in a building with other people. But I will say our building, compared to all the other ones we looked at, I'm glad we chose that one because it's so mellow.
Yeah.
Like it's super mellow. And it feels like you're living. I always joke around. I'm like, it feels like you're living in the Four Seasons. Like you pull in, you pop. They open full service valet. They open your car. If you have groceries, they're like, we'll get those right up to you, Miss White. Like you don't bring your own groceries in. Like you go down to the pool. They're like, can I get you anything to eat? They have a menu. You can order food. There's cabanas and towels and cold plunges and saunas and like it's literally like living in a hotel. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of weird and nice at the same time. Like you just always feel like you're on vacation in a way.
I think the only thing that I'll be with it is we've had to deal with noise things. I had to put in carpets and padded floors and all these things because my toddlers run everywhere all the time. We had to bring Crocs out. There were a lot of things. It taught me a lot because there was a part of me in the beginning which was kind of like, you know what? Forget you guys. I'm done with this. I'm not going to play this game with you. You guys are done. Talk to my attorneys. And then I had this other course correction where I was like, it's probably time for me to bring a little more discipline to my children.
Yeah.
Because they've just kind of run rampant in big houses and done whatever they wanted, which has caused us some problems. So we're in a condo life. The condo's happening, 33rd floor. Love it.
I think the only thing that's ruined us though is it's got the most insane view. It's one of the only buildings in Miami where you have the entire floor. So you don't just have an ocean view, you have a 360-degree view of everything from Fort Lauderdale to Miami to city to like intercoastal to the ocean. Like it's the most insane view. Like it's better than any hotel we've stayed in. And so it's like we'll go on vacations, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't really care if we have a beach view because it's gonna just be disappointing.
You go from I want you to look at this, 360-degree views. Which the interesting part is when we first came to Miami, we went to that condo, we went to that exact unit. We just couldn't wrap our mind around it.
Yeah, we were like, why would you live in a condo?
Which is a challenge, was a topic we can talk about.
Well, also this is the downside. We had like 5, 6 cars at one point. Now we're down to 3.
You can only have 2.
We're down to 4 because Bailey has her car. Yeah, so
Bailey has hers or her condo. We have the other one we keep at the office, and then we have 2 on site. You can only have 2 vehicles.
Yeah.
So we had to downsize all the vehicles. We had to sell a bunch of cars. Danielle had to get rid of half her closet. But the good thing about getting rid of half the closet, I would tell you right now.
I didn't get rid of half my closet at all. I didn't get rid.
You got rid of bags after bags after bags.
I always do that when we move.
Bags after bags of clothes. But here is where the
closet
real
condo's
revealing
bigger.
thing came to me. At least 2 or 3 times a week, she will come down the hall to go on date night. I'm like, oh, you got a new outfit. And she will say,
no, this is old.
And she just took the what off?
Even if it's new, I tell them it's old. What?
Seriously?
No.
Oh, you are lying.
I've done that a couple times, but no, like, so my closet in California was all enclosed, and I had so much stuff, but I couldn't see it because it was all in like hidden cabinets, right? So then when we moved, I was like, oh my gosh, I have like so many clothes that I forgot I had. And then when we moved again and I reorganized it, I was like, I have so many cute things. Like, why am but my, like, in California, I literally was like, I can't see anything, and I just go buy something new.
And here you don't. You have a closet that you can see everything.
It's bigger. This one's bigger.
Yeah.
The condo was bigger than the house closet I had.
House closet wasn't very big.
Yeah, it was
House closet was
shitty.
kind of shitty.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how we agreed to go to that house. I'm going to put that on you.
No, it's because we were looking to rent, and literally the options were slim, and we didn't consider a condo. We were like, out of all the houses we looked at, there wasn't a lot of options. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Even Elena was like, you guys, this is your best option. And if we weren't going to entertain condos, we were like, okay. But yeah, you know what? It was just disappointing about that house is that it was, my dad's a builder. He does custom homes, and it was, and so and the last home we were in was like top shelf, top of the line, every little detail you could have, to the heated toilets, the lighting ever, you know what I mean? Like, just quality. So for me, like, to go into that house, it had the illusion of nice, but it was just very, very poor quality. And we had even considered, we're like, well, if we loved the area, we were even considering buying that home. But after living there for like a month, I was like, no. The toilets were overflowing into the road at one point, and like they told us we couldn't flush toilet paper down the toilet. I was like, what in the fuck? I'm like, that is not true.
As much as
It's
we
so
were
bad.
paying 6 figures plus a month for
Yeah,
the house, I
so
was like,
bad.
okay, this is not
This
working.
is not working.
So here's a piece I'm gonna give you. We're gonna talk about this as a topic because you and I have couples come constantly in our programs at Wake Up Warrior. They're trying to make changes, doing something simple like moving. Like there's couples who have followed us from our move, and people have moved all over the country, come to South Florida because of it, who had been in the same places for 15, 16 years, same house, same city, same neighborhood, same game. And we have bounced. Like we lived in Arizona, Utah in
We're professional movers.
2010, 2011 Arizona, 2013 Ladera Ranch, California, 2015 Dana Point, California, 2017 New Dana Point, California, 2020 New Dana Point, California, 2024 end of
We're
24
professionals.
South Florida, Golden Beach. We actually look at this. The last 3 Christmases we've been in 3 different homes. We were 9 Oceanfront, Christmas 24, 498 North Parkway, Christmas 25, and now we'll be back that up. We were at Christmas at 498 in 2024.
Right.
2023 we were 9 Oceanfront in California, and then in 2025 we were in a condo. So we had 3 straight Christmases in 3 different locations. Like that's a lot of moving. But what it's given us is the ability to pivot. So this is the topic. We're going to talk about this, okay? Couples and their ability to pivot, their ability to move.
You know, I had somebody ask me, why did you guys move to Florida? And hopefully you don't mind me sharing this. But back in, when was it, 2009, when we lost everything? I felt like I could see the signs. I mean, you owned a mortgage company of over 100 employees, and it was like, it got to the point where we were paying them and we weren't taking home we weren't taking a check. And I kept seeing, because I was actually paying the bills back then, like logging on and making the payments. Anyways, I just remember thinking, like, we kept racking up credit cards and credit cards and credit cards. I'm like, this isn't good. Till it was like 100,000, 200,000, 400,000. And then it was just like, then we weren't paying our bill. You know what I mean? It was just getting like really, really bad. And I felt like I just assumed everything would be fine. And to be honest with you, when we moved into 9 Oceanfront, I was sharing this story the other day. I was like, I went from 3 Oceanfront having 1 nanny to moving into 9 Oceanfront to having 3 nannies, had another kid, 3 nannies, 2 homeschool teachers, and a house manager. And I didn't feel comfortable in my own home. Like I felt like it was just high anxiety, and I was just like, what is going on? And we bought more cars, and it was like life was moving faster, but it wasn't fun. It was actually causing me like a lot of stress and anxiety, and like so many people were essentially, even inside of my business, it was like I lost my sense of like identity and purpose because I had so much taken care of. And I can see why people that have an immense amount of success can like how they're almost in this space where you can self-sabotage, or it looks grand, it looks amazing, but I was like dying inside. I was like, this is not working. Meanwhile, and we've shared this on podcasts, you were getting more and more addicted to these stupid feel-free tonics, trying to get off of alcohol, which went to feel-free, which was great in the beginning, but kept increasing and increasing until it was bad. And I just felt like in some way, this fast-paced lifestyle both of us were dying. And I was like, we have worked so fucking hard to get to where we're at. I am not like, this is not worth it to me. The cars are not worth it. This home is not worth it. The stress is not worth it. And I remember we went to dinner one night, and we've shared this story, and I was like, hey, I think we should move to Miami. And we immediately like locked eyes and connected without saying anything. But I think both of us in that moment had like a sense of relief, like, oh, thank God. Like I thought I was just keeping the house for you, and I was just you know what I mean? I was like, I was just doing this for you. And I was like, I was just putting on the show for you. And both of us were like, this sucks. And so in a way, if we would have kept going down that path, it could have got progressively worse and worse and worse until who knows what would have happened. Like, you have to pivot, and that's what people don't understand, and couples may be listening to this. If there's red flags coming up and you don't pivot, guess what happens? Somebody fucking cheats, you lose all your money. Like, you have to pivot as a couple. Otherwise, my friend Amanda, she shared this too. They were in Texas for so long, to the point where she got so sick from mold, and finally we gave them permission, like, get out of that shithole. And to this day, she's like, thank you for inspiring us, for getting us out there, And it's funny that we'll sit in a space of like pain without pivoting, because we're like, well, this is where we landed, and we don't even consider moving, but yet you're in this like painful state, right?
Yeah.
And we were in a painful state, even though it looked like a glamorous painful state. We were in the painful state of fast-paced abundance, and that can spiral. Like I said, it can spiral to where it can spiral. We see it today with some couples we know, cheating, divorce, losing money, like all these things. And I was like, fuck that. This is not worth it. And so I think that we made this decision to pivot because we had to before we self-destructed.
I think it was the self-destruct game that was there. The interesting part is we moved to South Florida, and we'll come to the condo game on this and pivoting. We moved to South Florida with the intention to create more space for us as a couple. And then I made a decision to line up with 10X and Grant Cardone. I was already going hyper speed. Now we're going 10X of that speed, because no matter what you're doing, it should be 10X more. Even if you're already going 1,000 miles an hour, it should be 10 times 1,000 miles an hour.
Too much.
Which is not a slam on Grant or 10X at all. It's just I bought into the culture. We got involved with them in mentorship. Brandon Dawson, the rest of them, which are amazing humans. All of the 10X family, amazing people. But I went even more hyperspeed. I started traveling more. We had an arena tour. We had all these things, people in our house every week, twice a week for podcast interviews. We were on yachts. We were at parties.
Yeah.
We were being invited to every social event. We were literally...
We didn't do what we were supposed to do.
We went so fast in the first 6 months here. I remember sitting there. We'd gotten invited to another yacht party, networking event with a bunch of power couples here in Miami. It was like our fourth one in like 3 weeks. And I remember looking at you, and you're like, I can't do another fucking yacht.
I was like, I don't have social battery.
Me neither, dude. Like, I'm exhausted from this. So by June of last year, 2025, we hit what I would call a collapse, which is... we came to recognize that much of what we had created was performance-driven. And not in like a bad way of even saying we did it on purpose. It's just we bought into this game of bigger is more, more is more. You should do bigger and more.
Well, when we moved here, we both knew. Like, I'm going to put this on you a little bit, because I remember thinking, like, this is not worth the stress. This is not worth our marriage. I envisioned us in not $118,000 a month home per month. Like, I was like, hey, we'll go to like Boca, we'll go like inland, we'll get something for half of what we're paying right now, something smaller, we'll consolidate. And no, we're like, yeah, let's take that one.
Jesus, I completely fucked the pooch on this one.
And I was like, are you sure, babe? Because it was more monthly than our mortgage was. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I feel like I got the impression maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I was off.
But I think it's hard to consolidate. Like, when you've had a ton of cars and a ton of money, but smart business people do that. They see the change coming, and they're like, I'm gonna just pump the brakes for a couple years, and then we're gonna speed back up. But I can't keep throttling at this pace when things are changing. I just need to pump the brakes for a minute.
Well, we didn't even see what was coming down the pipe with AI and how that was going to affect the coaching space. I mean, the coaching space right now is being obliterated. Like, most of the transformative coaching space, a lot of the men's movements, guys collapsing in affairs, going bankrupt, a ton of what's happening at once. We didn't notice it coming until the spring in software, because I've been in coding for the past like 10 years with our software teams with Warrior App. We could see it to the point that I stopped the coding of Warrior App, and I said, we're probably done with this app. Like, the direction of AI right now is going to collapse and make it 10 years of work, $12 million in this app is going to be irrelevant. So, but all this is happening at the same time as we're going at velocity, at a faster speed than we've ever gone. Traveling everywhere.
It's even more than California.
It was way more than California. Like, we got sucked into the Miami life
real quick. We knew every person in Miami the minute we moved here.
Like, every day was texted by somebody to come to this and come to that. And we were like, fuck it, let's do this. It's great. We're in Miami. We're going to take over. Let's do this. So by June of 2025, we both, I call it the collapse because it was kind of a massive breakdown we had in St. Lucia with each other as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And that breakdown on my birthday led to
It's almost your
a
birthday again.
new narrative. I would turn 49 that weekend. We'd been to like 4 Caribbean islands in like 5 months. And by the way, I'm not telling you all this to brag at all. I'm saying don't do this shit is what I'm saying. Like we got sucked into the Miami, South Florida life for 6 months
Mm-hmm.
and went hyperspeed.
Right.
And in hyperspeed, here was the good thing about it. If you take somebody who is going at 60 miles an hour, take a car that's going 60 miles an hour down the freeway, you got a nice, you got yourself a nice little Honda Accord. You're going 65 miles an hour. That car is fantastic, 65 miles an hour. 85 miles an hour, car is still good. 140 miles an hour, that car is shaking, falling apart. I don't even know if it can go 140 miles an hour. The suspension's not built for it, etc. Take a Lamborghini, same thing. Put a Lamborghini 160, 170 on the freeway. It's good. Get it up to 200 miles an hour. You start to have wind issues. The car can flip upside down if it doesn't have wind pull, draft pulling it down the
Were
road.
we like drafting?
We were going so fast, we started having the speed wobbles.
The speed
And the speed wobbles are like going down a hill on a skateboard. You go too fast, you get the wobbles, you wreck, and you collide. You ass to grass, ass to asphalt, and you're ripped up. We had gotten moving so quickly that it was pushing you and I. You were collapsing. You were not having a great swing. I remember you sitting in your Ferrari with me in the driveway, and you're like crying, and you're like, I have no purpose. Like we had automated so much of our life to where, and my thought as a husband was like, if I can just relieve stress from my wife, then she will be happier. That's what I thought. I thought she'd be happier, have more energy and space for me.
No, I like working. I like being a mom though too.
We took it all away.
Yeah.
And you had nothing. Literally, you don't have to wake up and do anything any day, 7 days a week. And I thought, man, my wife has got the life.
That is pure hell.
And that pure hell collided in June.
You want to know why it's pure hell? It doesn't matter where you live. It's like if you don't have a purpose, your like thoughts start to get a little dark.
Yeah.
Like and
Were
that's
your
for
thoughts getting dark?
and that's for any entrepreneur. Like
your thoughts
you
getting
sell your
dark?
business, whatever it is, and you're like, this is awesome for like a minute, and then you're like, this is not fucking awesome anymore. And you see you shouldn't. Yeah, like everybody should have a purpose, whether it's like your kids or your job or your charity or whatever it is. But it was like everything had been alleviated from me that I'm like, shit, do I have somebody to wipe my butt too? Because like.
Well, do you know the thing that I got to? It was the first time as a man that I could understand the AshleyMadison.com website.
What is that?
It's a cheating site for rich people.
For rich people?
It's a cheating site for desperate housewives.
Oh, for women. Is it for women?
Yes. And men. Dudes go on there to hook up with married women, and married women go on to hook up with married men. They have affairs. It's an affair website. And the reason I had never understood, I'm like, why? What is this desperate housewife thing? Because I had seen situations with my clients. I'd seen it where men that were great men with beautiful women, with great families, etc., and the wife sleeps with the jiu-jitsu instructor, her trainer.
Wasn't that
She fucks
Giselle?
the pool boy. Yeah, that was a little thing. And she does the thing, and you're like, well, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Well, inside of abundance, when a woman has all day long to sit and have nothing to do, then what do you do?
Well,
Play
no,
pickleball?
if somebody makes you feel seen and heard, and you don't, you're like, you're at home a lot and you don't have a lot going on, and somebody makes you feel seen and heard, and your husband's gone all the time working, and when he does see you, you don't feel like he sees and hears you. You're like,
Do you know where some of the top affairs happen in South Florida besides all the escorts and the pretend influencers here that are all OnlyFans girls? Pickleball.
pickleball. I
studies
should
on
take
this.
that up.
That's a bad plan. I'm going with you. They said pickleball right now, South Florida has become like the new hookup thing for married people.
Really?
Yeah, women are bored at home. They join the pickleball team. They get the cute outfits with the ass hanging out the skirt,
Oh,
and they go
no.
to the pickleball with a hot pickleball instructor. And a bunch of divorced single dudes in their 40s and 50s. They're playing pickleball, and it's team pickleball. Next thing you know, it's really team pickleball.
It's
So you're banned from the pickleball unless I'm on
What
your
about
team.
golf?
Golf, I don't know if it goes right. I just don't see too many women out golfing. They're drinking and golfing, but not a lot. I mean, I'm not saying women don't golf. I don't know. We don't really even golf.
Yeah,
you
we
tee
do.
up every single shot, the entire hole. So
Yeah,
and you're
it's
done
fine.
by hole.
I don't
3.
know how to golf. I only I look like I know how to golf because I can like hit
You
a
can top
driver.
golf.
I can hit a
You can top
driver.
golf. You can hit a driver.
I can wear the cute skirt and I
Yes.
can drive a ball, but that's about it. Anything else in between?
It's like so many sexual innuendos in my mind going right now. I can hit a driver. I can hit a ball. I got it. Okay, so here's the thing, though. We started making some decisions. We decided we weren't going to keep the house. We're going to end the lease. We decided we're going to move.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we couldn't take all the cars with us.
Mhm.
It was a forced contraction.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on a trajectory of collapse because the market shifts that were happening, AI that was happening. My entire team, Brandon Dawson told me this in February when I hired him as a mentor. He told me when I moved to Florida, he said, I'm going to require all my teams to move to California. He said, you're going to lose 95%, if not 100% of your
You
teams.
did.
And 100% of my teams, well, not 100%, no, 98% of my teams, except for two people,
Oh, yeah.
gone. Everyone who worked for me for 10 years, gone. The crazy part about this is God's plan is constantly in effect even when you don't know.
What do you mean?
Because with the eradication of my old team and the addition of my 100%, all 17 brand new team members in the last year since June, I started being able to see things going on. I always had this sense that I was being stolen from. I just did, but I couldn't see it in the financial. I just had this knowing for years. I was like,
well, it was
something
we
is
were reckless.
going on.
We were reckless. There was
reckless. I was like, something is happening.
There was a lot
in our
coming in, a lot
personal,
going out.
Something's happening in the business. I just feel like something's off. And by October, I took over all the personal finances. I took over all the business finances. Was paying our bills for the first time in 8 years because all the people that were doing it before were gone.
Yeah.
But as I went in with my new teams and we started eradicating, we found over $250,000 a month in absolute bullshit, wasted expenses and costs in the company every single month that have been going on for years. Example, we had dudes who worked for me 5 years ago that had $10,000 to $15,000 a month in software subscriptions and were actively using those tools as of the week we found out the tool was even being paid
Fucking
for.
assholes.
And they had been fired 4 years ago and had put the tools on our platform. And were using the software tools for 4 straight years.
Why do people do that? That is such a character flaw. They're like, oh, the whites make enough money. I don't feel bad. You're a fucking asshole. You should feel bad. Like, whoever thinks that, I'm like, God, that's so weird that people do that kind of shit.
Well, things were exposed. Let's give it this exposure to me, too. So as much as they're fucking assholes, at the same time, I'm the biggest fucking asshole because I'm the one that authorized all of it. Example. Jackass that bought our house from us in California. He is a jackass. He's a jackass billionaire. I hate these fucking guys. Not the billionaires. These dudes that just have to win at everything and they don't give a shit. And they can use power,
he was a douchebag.
We've learned a thing in the last year and a half with attorneys.
We were way too giving.
Everybody plays this game at this level where they just fuck with you with legal. And they can bury you in paperwork and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars with no real proof of anything. So I'm sitting, we paid the electric bill in our home in California from December of 24 to February of 26.
Like, how come your team, how come nobody would notice that? That's
Ask me
wild.
the question again.
That's wild.
How did my team who was assigned to do this not get this done? Hence the reason why they are gone.
And then same, the guy that is a billionaire, he's like, yeah, Garrett deserves to pay me this. Why? Under what frame do we deserve to pay your power bill, you dumbass?
Like for 14 months. That was a 14
character flaw.
14 to 15.
Let's have some morals in life.
Well, you would have to know it was on there because you have to switch the power when you move out so the billing comes to you. That means they knew the entire time.
Yeah, again, who does that?
The guy that bought our house. So, like, we have just been exposed to a world of stupidity on our own side. One, on my side, not Danielle, on me. Number two, the fact that when you're stupid, people who are smarter than you, a lot of them don't give a fuck. They will take advantage of your stupidity. So, my stupid tax has become to the tune of almost $8 million in the last 3.5 years. Stupid tax. That is an expensive college education. And I am learning from it.
But you know what, though? Like I said, I'm like, I could see the direction that we were going. It wouldn't last. It would.
I'll tell you right now, with the teams I had, the shifts in the market,
it wouldn't have lasted.
The direction things were going, I would, at this point, had we still stayed in California, had not made all the moves, switched all the teams, switched the CRMs, moved accounting, new bookkeepers, everything, new attorneys, if everything had not been consolidated in the last 18 months to a new team that knew how to operate at a new level with me, we would have fucking gone down.
I mean, I don't know to what level we would have
gone down.
What gone down
would have looked
but
like.
Yeah.
It just would not have been
Yeah,
good.
right.
You know, we've lost everything. No.
But I think that
deeply wounded. Yes.
I think that it here's the thing though, is like even though you kind of like make the calls financially though, I think that women play a huge role in noticing the signs and understanding like our intuition and being like, hey, like, I know that you have bought me this beautiful house, but I'm willing to let it all go because if we don't let it go, it's going to cost us anyways. So I think a lot of times for women, if you're listening to this, we have this deep sense of intuition and we can see the signs, and by not communicating, it's, you're not doing your part of the marriage. Like, you need to be able to communicate that. And to be honest with you, I was kind of like scared. I was like, I could see the signs. I'm like, I don't want him to feel like I'm not grateful for this, but we need to go. And so I decided, like, when we were at dinner, I just remember I was like, hey, I was like, I think we should move to Florida. That's literally all I said.
And I closed my eyes, I checked in with myself, and I was like, yes. Sent the text, off we go. God's plan. So the crazy part, we moved into Golden Beach, and the street that runs straight into Golden Beach was called
The Strand,
which was assigned to us. Then we came and we ended up in the condo we originally looked at. So here's my experience with God. God will lead you to the place you're supposed to be, but oftentimes you can't accept the place you're supposed to be, so you end up having to go on a detour like a GPS. You miss the turn on the freeway, which happened all the time in South Florida the first 3 months we lived here, and all it does is course correct. And then you find your way back into the situation you were originally led to, only there was a cost for the detour.
I was going to say, but it cost you.
But there was learning on the detour, which is learning that you were originally in the right place. How many times have I seen this happen with guys getting divorced? That both the couples like, you're not it, get divorced. They go run the racket. They do the 40-year-old, 40-plus-year-old, live your best whore life and just be a hoe. That, like, this is the new hoe life in the 40s. The guys and girls get divorced, go be hoes for a year, go be whores. They go slut themselves out, which I get it. The market's filled with opportunity with that right now. And then they end up back a year later, all of them depressed, going, what? And then they start to look at the marriage they left. They look at the company they left, look at things they left, and they have new eyes. Kind of like us, making a little detour to Golden Beach, only to end up right back in Sunny Isles where God brought us in the first place. That mistake cost about $3 million.
Oh, man.
Stupid. Just stupid tax everywhere. Keith Cunningham wrote a book called The Road Less Stupid. They should just have a picture of me on the back of the book. If you want to know what the road less stupid looks like, it's not that one. That's the road more stupid.
But how do you feel now, though?
I feel like I'm much wiser.
You look wiser.
I have a nice beard going on. I feel much wiser. Here's the thing, the power, right? So I had been only tentatively involved in the back end financials of my companies for the last 15
You know what,
years.
though? Like, I like it. There's, like, a maturity to it where I'm like, thank God you're almost 50 and you're finally, like, a man. Good job. Like, not in, like, a bad way, but it was like this performance piece of you, like we have talked about. It was just like, you're like, what? Like, it kind of died and you're like, just mature. And like, you're like, we got to get this shit done. I don't want to do it. Because I did the same thing in my business that I'm guilty of, is advocating, and then you're like, you would get so mad at me for advocating, and yet you were doing the same thing. I was like, he doesn't know every little thing going on in the numbers game. You want to know why? Because I bought like 3 Chanels last month, and that is not okay. And he hasn't even.
I only found out later that my wife was testing my accounting awareness by charges up. I had teams that just paid everything.
There was a few months, and I don't do the bills, you do, and our team members did, but my hairline was doing well, and things were going well. But I literally remember one month, I'm like, I probably spent 20 grand this month on who knows what. And I'm like, I don't need 20 grand worth of shit. Like, he should say something. And you didn't it. So I was kind of just like kept testing it. And then I remember even like thinking like, not even Jeff has said anything. And that's when I was like, I either don't have anything to worry about or I should be real worried.
Yeah, it was more of a you should be real worried. Because things were just being paid.
Yeah.
They weren't being questioned. They weren't being cross-checked. It was just paid.
Yeah.
So if we come to the reality of where things have arrived. I mean, there is so much growth that's happened since we came to South Florida. There's so much spiritual change that's happened to me, so much that's happened to you, so much that's happened in our family. We have our first granddaughter.
Wait, we gotta, like, that was like a soft announcement, so we have to tell a little backstory there.
Right, go for it.
So we moved here with all of our girls. I have 4 daughters, and my daughter Bailey, I love her, but she's a bit spicy, and she's very, very messy and doesn't contribute a lot. And she was turning 18 years old, and we had this like huge blow-up fight over like cold medicine. I got her like the wrong kind, and I'm like, you're almost 18 years old. You don't get to have a tantrum like this over cold medicine. Anyways, I was like, you know what, Bailey? I was like, I love you. You're turning 18. And I was like, we're going to get you an apartment, and I'll help you pay for your apartment for the first year. You have to have a job. And I'm like, it's time for you to move on. I'm like, I just felt like she's always been like kind of like an old soul, but also like there wasn't a lot of respect in the home. She wasn't helping with the kids. Her room was always messy. Like she wasn't contributing. And then for her to go off on something like cold medicine, I was like, "You're not 16 anymore. You're going to be 18." I'm like, "So let's get you an apartment." She kind of resisted it at first, and then she got excited, and we found her a cute place like downtown Brickell, Miami area, and she moved in. Well, she's had a boyfriend in California they've been together for like 3 years. She met him when she was like 15. They dated all through high school, and she basically told him like, "Hey, if you don't move down here, like we're done. Like I'm not going to do a long distance relationship with you." So he ends up
And she was getting asked out like 2-3 times a
yeah,
day downtown
yeah.
Miami
She was
every
just
day.
like, "Hey, like if you're not going to move down here, I'm not going to do it." So he moves down, and then within 6 months of him moving down, she takes me to lunch one day and she tells me she's pregnant. And I was like, "Oh my God, Bailey." And she was really early pregnant, and I kind of like left her the choice. I'm like, "Do you want to do this?" Because she was early enough that I was like, "You don't have to do this, and I'm not going to persuade your decision either way, but like, you're 18, like this is the rest of your life. Like this is, trust me, I've had 4 of them. I've been pregnant 6 times. This is a significant thing. Like, let's think about this." But I'm like the type of person where I'm like, I'm not going to sway you on my opinions. So I left it very kind of like neutral because I wanted it to be something that the decision she made. So, anyways, obviously she decided to go through with the pregnancy and keep the baby, and her boyfriend's a year older than her. And they actually just recently moved to an apartment closer to us, and she is due any day, and we are going to be grandparents.
How's it feel to be a 43-year-old grandmother?
Um,
You're not grandmother yet, but you'll be a grandmother by the time we do another episode.
it's wild because I have a 4-year-old, and it feels like she still seems like my baby. So it's interesting, but I love babies, and I'm proud of her for like saying like I'm gonna do this.
Yep.
And I think in a way it's good for both of them because like neither of them were really working. We were paying their rent, and I'm like, you guys have a baby coming. Like you're gonna have to have more responsibilities than yourself. So everybody's got a different path to life. And I think this obviously is part of their path. And I've already seen both of them mature like
Deeply.
crazy. And
Last
like
6 months.
even when they go to the doctor's office, like she said, the doctors are always like, "You guys are the most mature, like responsible young couple," and that kind of thing. And even Bailey, who's like so messy, is like, "You can't kiss my baby. Please take your shoes off when you come inside." Like, I'm like, who are you? So I don't know how to feel about it. Like I love babies, so I'm kind of like, bring it on.
Oh, you're super stoked. You drove it down like you were super stressed about it. Oh, I'm not gonna raise this baby. Da 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 da. I was like, you have the baby thing in you so deep. That baby's gonna be at our house like every day. Bailey's gonna be at the house with the baby every day. It's gonna be a constant baby. You basically have another baby without having another baby.
I know, but I'm not like. Here's the thing. I'm not for. I feel like for kids, you have to like make them have the responsibility. Like you can't take over too much for them, or like they become. I want her to
Yeah.
do it on her own. Even though I have time and I can support. And I already told her I was like, I'm happy to do a date night for you guys like once a month. And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, like you can bring the baby over. I'll watch the baby once a month." But I was like, "I'm not gonna watch your baby every day." You know what I mean? I'm like, "But I'll do a date night, and if you need help, obviously I'll help." But I don't know. Like I'm like excited, but I'm like, okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Well, during the same time, not only have a baby coming, move to a new condo, massive shifts in the companies, massive pivots in the market, AI onslaught coming into the game. We continue to push here at Warrior. We continue to make the corner. We continue to prove that the thing that God started me down the path on 15 years ago will become a thing. But what really, really, really shifted for me since June of last year was the conversation of Christ. And to such a point that it has completely pivoted the direction of Warrior. It's pivoted what we're doing with Warriors for Christ, which is now the entry into our experience. It was the launch of the Warrior Ministry in connection with the Warrior Movement, which we still run our high-end programs and all of our top-tier men that come here to wake up Warrior. But then there's this message that's going out the front side, which is Warriors for Christ, and teaching Bible stacking and prayer stacking and the impact that we've seen from it. And the reactivity in me that has slowly died over the last year, the space that's opened up in me, the shifts that have happened in our marriage, the shifts that have happened with me as a man, as a leader, as a father, And all these things have happened, and they could not have happened without the move. They could not have happened without us losing our minds in South Florida for 6, 7 months, 8 months. It couldn't have happened without the lawsuits we've gotten. It couldn't happen with all the things that happened. The pressure itself took me to my knees. And it's interesting because you look on the outside and it looks fine, but it was what was going on inside me of just a reawakening in me of, okay, what am I doing? Where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
What does God want me to do? And I feel like what's happened is I kind of bolted Christ onto my life and bolted God onto my life. And then there was warrior in my life, and there was this bolt on. Like we added a room to the house. Said, cool, yeah, God's over here in this house. We go to that room every day, but God's over here in this room. And what shifted is that now God has moved to the core of our marriage, core of our lives, core of the business, and Christ sits at the core of what we're doing. And the impact that we're making and the direction that we're going and what we're seeing happen in men right now is unprecedented. The amount of transformation that occurs in a couple months used to take years of work for guys. And on the Wake of the God conversation, recently you went #1 bestseller on Amazon in 3 categories. You should pick up a copy of my wife's book. This is the story behind Wake Up Warrior. This is the journey that Danielle went in the book, God is My Ghostwriter.
I didn't know. It's funny. I didn't really even want to write a book, and I felt prompted to write a book, and I didn't even know what I was going to write about. And so I reached out to a ghostwriting company, and I was like, she's like, what do you want to write a book on? And I kind of was like, oh, it'll be on like business and motherhood and all the things. And then I was kind of started sharing my story with the ghostwriter, and I was like, that's what I need to do, is I need to share my story, because I think that oftentimes, I'm like thinking, oh, I'm not a billionaire. I don't, who am I to write a book? I haven't accomplished a lot. And I have accomplished a lot, and I felt like I needed to share, our story of how we left our culture and our community and our religion to like almost getting divorced, losing everything, then building both of our businesses from the ground up, having 4 kids, like the struggles I went through, the trials. Like I just felt like I needed to share my story. So God is My Ghostwriter is the story of probably the last 15 years. But more than that, the reason I wrote it is because I want women to feel like you're not doing this alone. And it kind of has like a little bit of like teaching principles inside of it, of like how I let go of like limiting beliefs, or how I shifted mom guilt, or how it's kind of a little bit of my story with some teaching behind it. But and it's funny because even after I got done writing it, I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to put it out there. And then I was like, I've been spent a year writing this book. And the reason I called it God is My Ghostwriter is because whether you want to call it God, source, intuition, whatever it is, like for me, that heavily leads the direction I go. And oftentimes in life, the reason we've moved and grown so much is because it's like, if where you're currently at is not working, then you have the power to change it. Yep. And sometimes it doesn't make sense at all. And you're like, I'm supposed to go to Florida. I'm supposed to do this. But you have this like internal knowing that literally burns in your heart. You know it to be true. And so instead of shoving it down, you have to trust this intuition, this God, whatever it is for you, to follow that. And I think that if you do that, it'll lead you in the path that you're supposed to be in, not the path you think you're supposed to be in. So
I love it.
I just dropped that, and it's a short read. It's not too long.
Quick.
My little sister, who's 10 years younger than me, who just started her own business, read it, and she's like, this was really helpful for me in where I'm at in life. She's got 2 kids. She's got a business. She's, left the culture and religion we were raised in, kind of thing. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm like, if I wrote it kind of for me to have appreciation for what I've gone through, but if anybody else gets value in it, like that's a win too.
Well, there's been huge value in it. I got to see things about my wife, her truth, and her journey that I didn't know about. Literally, she's never shared with me. I got to experience them reading chapter by chapter with her at night and weeping together as we're reading the chapters, just hearing the pain. And our next episode, we'll actually spend most of the show going through the book and what the principles were and the concepts that came out of it. She recorded the audiobook on it. You can check it out on Amazon. God is My Ghostwriter, fantastic book. As wrap up for today, though, thank you for being here. We're back in a mix, and we're going to start doing these every single week. Danielle, I have a new studio here at the offices. Thank you to Sylvan, our amazing weapon, who moved here from Northern California to put all this together, also crushing it in the jiu-jitsu world. And now we're here back on the DHY podcast. We're not going to bring on a guest for a while. It's just going to be us kind of updating and going through the game because a ton has changed, and we've got a lot to share with you about what we learned over the last 18 months with our move from Southern California to South Florida. So for today, Again, best way you can share, best way you can support this show is share the show up with other people and other couples everywhere we go around South Florida, Europe, Caribbean. Every single trip we've taken, we have at least one couple that we see that comes up to us and says, "We love the podcast, Date Your Wife." So for all those that have been messaging us also the last couple months, did you guys die? Did you disappear? Are you still alive? What happened to the show? Hey, we have these seasons occasionally over the past 7, 8 years we've run this podcast where we just take a few months off, but we're back hot in the game here in 2026. So thanks so much for being here. This brings the close to another Date Your Wife podcast.